1,688 years ago. This country is insolvent. This country is broke. And if you issue a new currency by a group of countries that are trying to be transparent with this distributed ledger technology, showing the world what is pegged, who pegged it, who pledged it, it's a whole new system that we are walking into where it will not be dominated by the West if that happens. And the only way they're going to be able to make it work would be to follow suit and with great transparency, roll out a central bank digital currency. What better way to do it than to say, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pledge it to gold. And then that gets into a whole thing that we probably don't have time to talk about, which is the governor of the Dutch National Bank, who just came out and said, all of us have something called the gold revaluation account on our balance sheet. Most of the gold held in Europe and the US is valued at $35 an ounce. In the US, I think it's $42.22. But that goes back to Bretton Woods. So you got all these countries like the Netherlands who have all of this gold on their balance sheet, which is not allowed to be offset against liabilities. It has to stay there on its own, but valued at $35 an ounce. And it's in something called a gold revaluation account. Well, what if they were to put it up to 5,000 an ounce and peg it right there to a new system? At 5,000 an ounce, it makes their balance sheet solvent. At 35 an ounce, and you can't even use it on the balance sheet, it doesn't. But you put it at 5,000 and allow it to be pledged against liabilities, all of a sudden, all of these countries, the US included, go from completely insolvent to solvent. So is that part of the plan? Is that why gold was reclassified tier 1? Is that why we're seeing a massive exodus out of COMEX and the London Metals Exchange, where central banks are accumulating it and repositioning it? Is that why we're seeing this? And I would argue it is. And in particular, if you look at the countries that are joining the BRICS nations, their amount of gold purchases, and in many cases, their allocation in terms of the percentage of their gold holdings as a percentage of reserves is startling. Let me just read you a couple of them. Venezuela, their gold holdings represent 82% of their reserves. Uzbekistan, 65%, Kazakhstan, 63%, Bolivia, 55%, Lebanon, 49%, Belarus, 40%, Turkey, who bought more gold than any country in the world the first 7 months of 2022, 29%, Kazakhstan, 22%, and the list goes on and on. These are all the countries that have either pledged or said they are going to join BRICS nations. They're massively accumulating and increasing their gold holdings, which represent a substantial part of their reserves. Is that because they were told, if you want a seat at the table, you need to have gold because it will be pledged to a new system? I would argue, hell yes. Why are all of these countries like Germany and the Netherlands and Austria and Poland and Hungary, why are they all accumulating gold and repatriating it? Why? Why are